Chris, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good morning, brother. Man, it's been a long time, man.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Lo-
we just started this new channel, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So, we're doing a channel now that's going to be about just different trending topics. We'll still have our Wednesday show, which is going to talk a lot about real estate, a lot about lending. But today we're going to talk a lot about what's happening in the news. It's not a politics. We're not going to get into that. No political show here. But what I do want to talk about is some of the things around politics and some of the things that we see out there that, um, you know, with Andrew Tate, we're also going to talk about Trump being indicted. And, maybe a lot of people think it's just a publicity thing, but, it is something that we have to pay attention to, just the reasons why, and give your opinion on it. But we're not going to go in depth on, doing, what side you on and, is this a political thing? We're just going to talk about in general, what does it mean for Trump to be indicted, and moving forward, is this going to be something we see with presidents, you know, uh, on a position of if they do something wrong and something happens, right? Paying this is hush money. So what's been going on with you, Chris? How you been doing, man?
It's been wonderful, brother.
Yeah.
With the economy, the way that it is being portrayed, that it's
Right.
going in that direction. When we've had these conversations before, in reference to real estate. When we go out to, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but it's talking about people don't have any money, but then you go out, the grocery stores are slammed. You go to the movies, they're packed.
Right.
You go to restaurants, they are, there's waiting list, and these places, to go to a movie right now, if you were to take you and your girl and your son, it's $50, you know,
Yeah. It's not cheap, man.
it's not cheap. So, things like that, bowling alleys, and I'm always bringing that in because I'm like, if all this so-called, um, lack of, right, is in existence, then how come more people aren't staying home, right? And
Hmm.
at the end of the day, you can't spend what you don't have if you necessarily don't have it. And I will say this is good to see, right? It's good to see people out and about, spending money, making money. Real estate is something that you and I are both um, in every day, which is something we're a part of. So I'm always looking at the market and seeing, because I think real estate is a good indicator on how the economy is going, right? With jobs and unemployment, and how that real estate kind of fuels the economy in the direction where we're going.
Yeah, I would
And,
agree.
you know,
We
yeah,
talk a lot
yeah,
about
yeah.
real
So,
estate. It's one third of the gross domestic product, or GDP, for real estate. So we both agree, right, that real estate's going to either, if it goes off, usually it's a sign that the economy is going to do well. If it starts to slow down, usually it's a sign that the economy is going to start to slow down. That's how big of an impact it has. That's a big of an indicator it has, right? So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think with the other channel on French Workbench, we're going to be doing that on Wednesdays still, and without, we don't know the exact time. There maybe some of them will be. They'll be recorded, and some of them will, potentially we could do a live stream if it all fits in our schedule. We have very busy schedules now, as you know, and that's why we haven't really been putting this out. But we're going to start streaming more here, and so let's get into Andrew Tate now. Chris, go ahead and enlighten anybody that's out there. I think everybody knows who Andrew Tate is, but talk to me about Andrew Tate. Who is he? What does he do?
so Andrew Tate is someone that came on, I want to say out of nowhere in terms of social media popularity. He is a, I think, four-time or five-time kickboxing world champion.
He's a
So aside
kickboxing world
from,
champion.
yeah, world
Wow,
champion,
that's
from
pretty
my
impressive.
understanding.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. So obviously he has a discipline, right?
Uh huh.
And what he's been able to do is apply that discipline into the next chapter in his life, and he's done that beautifully. He's got very strong views on like new world relationships, right? And why relationships are kind of not where they used to be. And his worldview on that is simply that women aren't traditional like they used to be. And because
Meaning
he's,
what? What is that? What is that? Because look, we got two guys making an opinion here, so we probably need a female's perspective. But what does that mean exactly?
Traditional, well, when it comes to an opinion, right? Traditional, in a sense, let's just say like before 1980, right?
Uh,
A traditional woman was, they stayed home, right? Not that they were like not allowed to work, but they stayed home. They cooked, cleaned, took care of the kids while the man went out and was a breadwinner. Aside from the daily roles at home, a traditional woman, from his viewpoint, is also, and then when I think about it, my mom was like that, right? So when he was talking about that, I connected with that part and seeing what he's talking about. Aside from that, also a traditional woman, in essence, uh, did not have a high body count. And so that term simply means that she didn't sleep with a lot of people. So back then, a traditional woman either was a virgin, at the most probably had one partner. You
didn't
see what I'm
the
saying?
so I want to say this though, didn't like the right to vote and women rights were a big movement back in the 60s, I think it was, or the 70s.
Yes,
Wasn't it
yes,
wasn't it
yep.
where they I'm not 100% sure on that. I have to look up some of the data just to be upfront, but um yeah, I just look at it and I'm like, with the women's situation and how people are living today, right? You said that, traditionally they used to cook and clean. Doesn't that come off a little bit, and I understand where you're coming from, but a little bit where, as people would say, sexist, right? Because you're saying, hey, this is stereotypical of what it would be before the 80s. I think a lot of people would take that, or a lot of women would take that wrong today, right?
Okay.
What do you
Yeah,
think?
of course. Well, of course they would take it that way because if they weren't born in that time, right? And the media is also fueling women to be independent. And that doesn't mean that a woman can't be independent, right? And I'm also not saying that it should go in that direction.
Right.
He's simply he's simply pointing out a a fact, right?
Hmm.
Is that relationships aren't as strong as they used to be. And his belief is that's because it's not how it used to be. That's why.
Well, you always, I think, and we've talked about this, in any relationship, it typically means somebody's giving more than the other. Um,
Okay.
maybe they're submitting or being submissive towards each other. I don't know, but I think his position on it is the dominant male, right? Bringing back the dominant male. Is that kind of what you're saying? Where if the way it's going to work or the way it should work and how relationships should work is they have to submit to the dominant force, whoever that is inside the relationship. Is that kind of what you're saying? Because we know it's just not just women and men today; it's everybody, right? So you got to think about
Yeah.
that. There's going to be one part in that relationship that's going to be probably stronger in a stronger position. And is that kind of what you're going with?
Well, yeah, I guess I would have to say that I agree with that part, right? And that doesn't mean that one is not equal, right? We're
No,
all stronger. Yeah, we're all stronger in our own areas,
right.
right? But what's going on now, you see more than ever, is that the woman wants to be the man. And at the end of the day, a woman can't be a man and a man can't be a woman. And they are also, with today's society, fueling and getting the woman to feel like they don't need a man. And that's impossible, right?
Well, I mean, let me
N-
say this: we have a higher population rate, more than ever. The opportunity for anybody to work because we have abundance of jobs. Women obviously have the same opportunities for the most part, and you got to think in today's society, what does a woman look? We get it, man. I get it. There's certain things for the most part, you know, every women could do the same thing as men today because of these opportunities, and that's where I'm going with. So when you have that at your fingertips, right, as a woman out there, why would you not be able to think that you can go do it on your own, or why do you need somebody else? It's more about convenience now, not necessity. Now, I do know that in
okay.
this world, it's a harder world to live in because you talked about it, inflation, cost of living. It is good to have two people that are connected together that have one unit where you can work together and try to make ends meet, right? And I think that's people still need each other is what I'm saying. So I think it's great that they can go out and do that. I just think that for the most part having a partner, somebody that's on your side, right? On your team, that's important too, right? Because you got to, especially in this world, it's not easy. You know, you're a one income family. You're probably struggling at this point, in my opinion, if you're
Hmm.
trying to live a decent life. Two car, you know, a decent life to me, middle class, two car, you know, maybe a 2,000 square foot home, you know, nothing crazy. You take that average vacation a year, right? That everybody does. You go to the movies, you guys have some recreational, then you pay your bills, right? You have some certain things that you
Yeah.
go out and do some shows maybe here and there, but for the most part, you're living a very moderate, balanced life where you can't just pack up and leave. Where I think if you're on your own, what a lot of people are doing today is they're not getting into that situation and they're living, you know, very modest. They're not really putting themselves, a lot of them, like buying a house. Unless there's two people there, you're probably not going to buy a house. It's just the reality, right?
Yeah, that's the reality. I agree with that. Yeah.
So, anyways, his situation, he's just got released. Now, why did he get? What did he get? Why did he go to jail? Like, what happened to him?
So apparently the Romanian government, I don't know if it was someone, I don't know if it was a ploy or a plot
Right,
to
right.
bring him down because he has a lot of followers, you know, and not just men, women as well, right? And
Followers
so
for
I
what?
think
What is he known for? Like, why would somebody follow him?
his message, right,
What's
is
his
that
message?
his message in all overall and encompassing to wrap up his message is that society's trying to kill the masculine man, right? They don't want
That's
men
his message.
masculine.
His message is that keep the masculine man alive.
Yes,
Huh.
yes, keep the masculine man alive. Yeah.
So
Um,
why did he get arrested over there? Because I heard he got arrested and went to jail for a while.
yeah, he got arrested simply for they said that he was running a sex ring, sex trafficking. I think he's even got something about rape, you know, which are horrible and horrific things if he did those things, right?
You know, and I'm not
Um,
going to say that he did or didn't, but I don't know. To me, that's a bad thing to have attached to your name.
yes.
It really is. And you know, we're not going to say for sure, but you know, there is a sense of entitlement when you have people telling you you're absolutely right and you're a yes man or yes sir or whatever, yes woman. People start to tell you these things and your head starts to blow up like the Jack in the Box, right? Icon, right?
Hmm.
It's like sometimes you feel that, and I'm not saying this happened. I don't know the situation, but sometimes you feel invincible and that you can do or get away with anything you want. I think a lot of times with celebrities, I mean, we see it. Celebrities get caught for different things, you know. Um, you've seen it in the news, right? They've gone to jail for these things as far as trafficking or something to do with some type of sex issue or forcing sex or rape or whatever it is. Anyways, I think that I don't know. Do you feel like that's something that he has the capacity to do? I mean, you can't say he would do it, but I mean, I don't know him on his level, looking at what he does and how he is and his personality. It's a very domineering personality. Does that something you think he would actually be able to do or pull off?
Pull off? I don't know. I don't know if he could pull it off. Outside looking in, and I'm not like a Andrew Tate fan. I'm not against him either. I'm
Right,
just neutral,
right,
right? There's been things he said that I'm like, oh, I actually agree with that. There's been things he said that I'm like, not so much on that part either, right? And I think that's how I assess anything, right? There's no one I've ever listened to in my entire life that I agreed with every single thing.
right.
So
And that's good
to answer
because
your
if you did, then you would be that yes man, yes sir situation, right? You have your
yeah,
own opinion and thoughts, and it's
yeah,
important for our society to keep that. You know, we don't
yeah.
have all answers to everything, but you know, even if you're not somebody that's for Andrew Tate or somebody that you agree with what he's saying, at least he has the balls to go out there and say, you know what he needs to say. It doesn't mean it's right, but to have courage to do that. Now, again, we're not saying and condoning that what he did, if he did do it, that it's something that, you know, is the right thing to do. We're not saying that. I'm just saying the reason why people gravitate to people is because they're willing to say what's on their mind and they're outspoken and it's the outlier of what society is, right? Or what society is supposed to be portrayed as. And I think going out there and saying these things, I think that's a big deal because um, you're expressing yourself. This is a form of expression of what your mindset would be. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. It just people need to be that way to a certain extent. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. As long there's always going to be things that people say that we don't agree with. However, I think not saying it is more damaging than saying it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to, but there is a line though, right? You can't look. You don't want to go there and you got that girl at the gym that you see that's working out, and you can tell like she's heavy set. You know what I mean? Like, damn, you know, she's probably not really, doing much, or guy, either one. You're not going to go up to him and be like, damn, dude, you need to get on that treadmill. You know what I mean? You need to put some more time in because you're just sitting here and you should be. It's just the thing is that you want to have a respect position on it, but you don't want to come out and be like, yeah, But I get what you're saying. It's when you talk
Yeah,
about his situation, you want to be able to express yourself and not feel like you're threatened or feel like you have to be policed or keep your voice down on something if you have a real opinion on it. And if it's not going to affect somebody personally, then it doesn't really matter. That's your opinion, right? That's where
yeah,
I
yeah,
draw
one
the
hundred
line
percent.
is when you start affecting people and putting people down. Like, yeah, you can do that, but I think there is a line where it's like, okay, that's just straight disrespect. You just don't do that.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I will say, you and I are the same age, and so I will say
You
society has gotten
25?
soft. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, society is soft, man. We won't keep it real. Society
Yeah,
is real, and so I do agree. There's are not all things I agree with. Yeah, are there better way to say things?
correct.
100%, right? But to go
Yeah,
back to your gym analogy, right? You see that guy or girl who's just, let's say, overweight, right? And let's just say you've been seeing them for the last month, right? And the hour they're in their gym, the 45 minutes they're on their phone, right? So
yeah,
let's just say this guy or girl comes to you, right? And you're a trainer and they're like, yeah, what can I do better? Well, first of all, you can get off your phone, right? That's why
right,
you're not getting any results,
right.
right? And there's nothing wrong with saying that, right? You come to the gym and you bullshit. I see you on your phone 45 minutes out of the hour
See,
that you're
you're
supposed to be
you're
working
about
out.
you're about results, and I am too. But
Yeah.
would you agree though that the hard part of it is just getting to the gym, right? The hard part is just acknowledging that you do have an issue somewhere, and I think there's an underlying position. Like, I'm not saying be empathetic to those people if they're just sitting there, but it's like I would prop it up where it's like, at least you made it here. Where a lot of people won't even get in a damn car and drive down there. You know what I mean? If you
But
got here somehow, I'm not going to say, hey, man, you get brownie points for that. But that's just my opinion on it. You go to the gym, not everybody's meant to be the next, killer in the gym. It's just, so you get where I'm coming from. So I'm not saying
yeah, I get where you're coming from.
it's not saying like, hey, your way's wrong, but you did come from a military background where you want results. And I think that's your mindset, right? You're like, hey, this is not how it was supposed to be. And I agree, but everybody came up from a different place. But going back to Andrew Tate, in retrospect to what we were saying is Andrew Tate has a mindset and an analogy of this. And is this good for society or society agree with him? Or is it mostly males agreeing with him and women are like, no, that's not true? Because I would have to think he's getting a lot of pushback from women.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I, I don't know the data, but I
Right.
will say this: he he hasn't been charged with anything.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I
He's
mean,
only been
again,
he's only been accused. So how can you detain somebody for 90 days and there's
well,
no
that's true.
charges?
That's true. Now, is it,
See?
did he piss somebody off? It always comes down to when you say something in this world today, somebody always has an opinion with social media. Like we have an opinion right now, right? We're on
Yeah.
here telling us our opinion, our thoughts on it. But they may take this and be like, oh man, this is the
These
way
guys
they
are
are and this
Andrew.
is how it is. That's
Yeah,
not,
yeah, yeah. These guys are Andrew Tate guys or
yeah,
something, right?
and that's not what we're having a discussion on what thoughts you have on Andrew Tate and what is the outcome and is it fair and where is society going when it comes to what his ideas are.
Hmm.
That's the way I
Yeah,
see it, right? I
yeah.
mean, so for going back to Andrew, I mean, your thoughts on him, you don't dislike him, you don't like him. Do you agree with some of the things he says, some of the things you don't, right?
I would if I have to because I'm not afraid to say like I'm not a neutral guy because I'm like afraid that I'm gonna push people away. Overall, from the stuff that I've listened to, I've agreed with more than he said than not.
Do you think that men need to go that far to be cocky? Because when you go that cocky, it's almost like you're insecure. There's a quiet confidence within a man that you don't need to be that way. You know, it's the way you carry yourself, it's how you talk. You think he's doing this because there's a slight insecurity, because here's why I say this. You can't go to that extreme and be on that
Okay.
level, in my opinion. There's a balance, right? And I think that's kind of where I look at him, and what I've seen of him is there's overly cocky. Yeah, some women might like that, but most people don't like it, man or woman. Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Whoever it is. Uh, Sometimes it turns people off, man. And I feel like that part of it's turned me off a little bit, in the sense that it's okay to be confident, but then when you become overly cocky, it's like I can't be around you. You know, I just,
Okay.
dude, there's not enough airspace in the room for you. so so
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of where people get turned off by him. And maybe somebody, he pissed somebody off that they wanted to set an example. That's why he went to jail. Or maybe he did it. I don't know. We don't know. But at the end of the
Mhm.
day, he put himself in that position. And when you do that, unfortunately, in this world, you're exposing yourself to potentially have somebody come at you or do something to you. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I can agree with that. And that's another thing, right? If if you truly believe something, then that's what you should say, and that's who you should
You
be,
should.
right? As long as it's not promoting like obviously hurting children,
Right,
women,
right. If you don't
you know,
agree, then you don't agree with it. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. As long outside of everybody, outside of being like inhumane and cruel,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you feel like, oh, these people should die, right? Don't go on social
Extreme.
media saying that. Yeah, I'm not talking about extreme bullshit, right? I'm just talking about if your belief on like kids sports right now, your belief on transgender, your belief on religion, your belief on, you
It's
know,
okay.
it's okay,
It's
right?
okay. Like that's the thing, is people got to be like, no, it's, and then it turns into like this big old thing, and it's like, I don't understand it. People just need reasons, or it's weird how this world, you can't agree to disagree and move on and just say you're both right. Whatever you want to
Yeah.
do, you're both right, right? But at the end of the day, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just kind of what it is, right? I mean, look,
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
we can still disagree to agree, and I'm going to still have my position on this show, Mental Versus, and you're going to have your position on this show. So we're not going to agree
Yeah.
on everything, but I'm just saying, when we go down that road, because I'm sure we're going to have different topics we're going to talk about on the show, that you're going to have your opinion, I'm going to have my opinion, right? You guys can ultimately make the decision. Some of the things I agree with what you say, and some of the things I don't, and there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. I don't have to take
There's
every
nothing wrong
word
with
from,
that.
yeah, so going back to it, let's kind of end this Andrew Tate thing, because we got to move on to Trump. So Andrew
Yeah.
Tate, to me, let him be, right. A lot of women probably, in my opinion, I don't know the statistics or numbers, but they probably don't like him. I'll be honest with
They
you,
probably
because
don't.
I would say so, especially the new generation.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
any last thoughts on that situation?
No. Hopefully, if he didn't do those things, he's vindicated, and he can continuing. I think now maybe he will with his message. I'm not saying he's going to tone it down. He'll probably just possibly deliver it in a different way, right? Because
See,
like
but
we
think
talked
about it.
about this on a
Just
we
exactly what you
but
said, but think about it. Exactly what you just said. He was I'm the dominating, pound my chest, cocky, arrogant, stallion of a man, right? To
hmm
now he's got to think his approach. And the thing is
hmm
that, again, you can go to a certain extent in this world, but once you get past a certain line, or you screw or piss somebody off, or the world we live in social media is like, okay, now I got to change my thought process, because something out there was triggered. Somebody got triggered. Either I went to
hmm
jail because I triggered somebody, or you got a lot of people pushing back, a lot of hate, a lot of stuff. And some people can deal with that. Some people are like, oh, I can't deal with that, man. I'm tired of the hate. I got it. I got it. I don't want to do that.
but also, Dan, then don't listen to it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. See, so even if, let's just say he gets out and he basically turns Andrew Tate into like, you know what? They took me to jail, man. Fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm going all the way in, right? And he goes the other way, right? Well, don't listen to it. The women who don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it. Why do you listen to it and let him get you mad?
Here's the difference, though. He probably wants
Yeah.
them to listen to it. And
Well,
so
they're
what he's
listening
going
to
to
it because
do,
maybe,
what people do is that when they see a certain amount of numbers that's coming through, let's say you have on average, 300 people watching you on live on stream on YouTube. All of a sudden you say
yeah,
something wrong or you piss somebody off and you got this message you're sending over and over and all of a sudden that starts to trickle down. They're probably thinking, well, yeah, this is the way I think, but people aren't agreeing with the way I think. So now I gotta adapt to the way that the world thinks. So now you're gonna see a different Andrew Tate or a different person in that position. That's what people do. They're not necessarily doing it based off of what they really believe, because I do that. I do off of what I believe. You don't like me, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I
hmm
just say what it is, good or bad. I'm not going to make all the right moves or right decisions. But I think a lot of people are trying to adapt to what people want versus who they really are.
yeah, I
That's what
agree.
I feel.
Okay,
Let's move on. So Andrew Tate.
let's move on.
Yeah. So let's talk about Trump now. Again, this is not a political show. This is mental versus. You have your position on it. I have mine. You can tell me your position. So everything's been a witch hunt. This is not a political show, so I want you guys to understand we're not going and giving our opinion on it. But what we are going to give an opinion on is why this happened. Will this be something future for another president or presidents out there in the future? And what contributed to how he got indicted versus others did not, other presidents, right? So
Okay,
when you look at this situation, he's the first president to be indicted. Let's talk about presidents that's actually done many things and they step down. The problem with Trump, or the problem with the situation, is that this was something that was done previously. Now I know he paid money off, but this was previously before his term in office, right? Where a lot of these presidents, these things happened while they were in office. And I think that's a big deal. Like when you go back and you bring, like when they go through the whole political campaign and then they go through the debate, what do those parties do? They look for reasons of trying to tarnish their identity or their position. They'll go and find, like, that girl Stormy Daniels, right? Paid her money, or supposedly paid her money to do what they did. But that was before his term. You look at like Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, right? Even Obama. You look at Clinton, Obama. We don't really know all the details, but look, who did he hire? Eric Holder, right? What was Eric Holder doing? He was selling arms, guns to other countries and making a profit off
yeah,
of it. And he's the one. The reason I'm bringing this up, who assigned him? It was Obama. Wouldn't
yeah,
that would be like me assigning, or you assigning me somewhere, and I'm going out and doing some things because you put me in a position to do something, and then I'm basically going doing all this stuff. And you're like, oh, that wasn't me. You got to know that person's personality, man. And if you don't know when to that, you're not doing a good job. Same thing with Clinton. Clinton goes in office. We know what he did. He made bad real estate moves, right? Under his watch. He also, what was that lady's name that, took care of him in the office? I forgot her name, but
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah.
talking
Monica
about.
Lewinsky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Monica
Monica
Lewinsky.
Lewinsky.
Yeah, and the thing is like, these things happen while they were in office doing presidency, or during their presidency, where what they got him on, and it just seemed like this was like something they just kept going on. He's digging at the opposing side. I don't know who the opposing side is, but he's digging at it, right? What is this reason? Is it you piss off the masses behind the scenes? We all know that the president doesn't run the country. There's something going on where if they're getting indicted for some reason, they obviously don't have that much power, in my opinion. What's going
Yeah.
on there?
From the outside looking in, I think that just without having all the details, I would have to say that there's people, right? Powerful entities.
And we
We'll
don't
just say
know.
that.
We don't know. Look,
And we don't know. That's what I'm
we
saying.
don't
I
know.
say I'm talking about just looking at it without me having all the details. I don't work there.
It
I'm
seems and appears
not
that
in
way,
the White
right?
House. I'm not in part of
Right.
Trump's. Yeah, yeah. I don't work for Trump. I don't have any like inside like goodies to give to the public.
Right.
I would have to say looking at it, it's simply, hey, Biden has dropped the ball, right? Severely in terms of what his job he's done so far.
This is your analogy on it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm like that's what I'm looking
Okay.
at, right? Biden has not done good. Trump is gonna run again, and he's gonna win, right? We have to slow that down, right? Or make it basically impossible for him to do so.
Okay.
And if I want to say that I think if you have a felony, you can't run as a president. So if they indict him and he has to plead out because he's not going to go to trial, right? Because if he goes to trial, he'll lose or whatever, right? Now he has to plead out. Now he has this mark on his record, and now he can't run by default.
Do you
And I
think
don't
that
know. I don't know. Maybe you can
I
have a
think it's a
felony and run
joke,
for
man.
president.
I think this whole thing's a
Yeah,
joke. And I'll tell you right now. How does it portray? Like, you got to think that other countries are looking at this going, man, they are such a mess over there in the US. We have bad
yeah,
educational systems for most of the region, a lot of the regions. You got this going on. There's a bad publicity that's going on in the world, right? With this. And it's like, it just, to me, it doesn't make any sense why anybody would want to do that. Like,
yeah,
as far as putting a president out there on blast, because you got to think that's who we represented us for like the last, what, 4 years before Biden.
yeah.
It
Before
just
Biden,
makes
yeah,
us look really bad, man. It doesn't matter what
yeah,
country it is. I would be, if I was in another country, but man, they just don't got their shit together. They're all over the place.
yeah.
I
Now I
wouldn't.
do agree. You should. Yeah, I'm not saying you should be above the law or nothing
Right.
like horrible like that. I'm not saying that. However,
If they were going to do that
you
though,
know,
why do it now? That's the question. If you were going to go
mm,
down that road, and this is a distraction, I think there's other things going on. You got to think that the world
yeah,
out there's a lot of distractions. If this was
yeah,
such a
there is.
big deal and they thought it was such a big problem, why did they not handle that before or while he entered into office?
Exactly,
That's the
exactly.
thing you got
Yeah,
to ask. And again, I'm not a Trumper. I'm not following anybody, but I think there's so many people trying to pull for power because that's really what it is. It's all just a publicity stunt to me, you know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that sucks, right,
Yeah.
for him. Hopefully, again, he comes out and whatever is not true, he's
Right.
able to climb out of that and prevail. I will say this is that seeing this, it's definitely a different time, right? It's definitely a different time with social media for the most part fueling and shaping the economy, the world as a whole.
Right.
Social media has, I mean, great. I love social media. I think it's very, you know what? I won't even complete what I was going to say. This is what I will say. Something that can be really, really good for us can also be very bad. Social media has changed a lot for our society,
Well,
right?
it's changed a lot, but again, it comes down to, and I agree, but I'm going to say this. It comes down to, you know, going back to all the presidents that were in office and they got impeached. And technically so did Trump, right? But it's like the continuous, we're going after you, going after you, going after you. Who else, what other president have you ever seen where somebody behind the scenes, we're not going to call it a shadow government, but somebody's pulling strings where, man, once the president's out of office, we don't really hear from them too much. Maybe Obama, but that's just to kind of, promote.
Yeah, I mean, they'll write a book,
Yeah, they'll do
and they'll
something
probably,
like that.
yeah,
But to
yeah,
consistently, and the reason you said it and you hit it on the head is 'cause I think they're trying to prevent him from when I say they,
running,
yeah, running again.
who? Yeah,
Yeah,
running
who is
again.
that,
Yeah,
right? Um,
yeah,
I think it's big corporations. I think it's also, probably families. We know that there's a lot of people or a lot of top. They say the top 1%. Again, we're not going to sit here and say this is conspiracy or anything. We're just saying from what we see. I try to when I pay attention to that stuff. I don't know, man. I just don't. It just doesn't. It doesn't resonate with me. I don't like it.
yeah,
I don't get into it. Like, I'll go to people's
yeah,
houses and they're all about it. They're like, "Oh, did you see this? Did you see that?" Nah, man, I don't pay
yeah,
attention to that. It's all negative bullshit. And
yeah,
and
yeah,
to me, I just look at it as like it's sad where it's sad where our economy and our world and what we know the US is. It's really sad that they're going down this level, and it makes me think: has this happened before in history where you piss
Hmm.
the wrong person off and you're not playing nice? Again, it goes back kind of similar to what Andrew Tate is. If you're not playing nice with the world, we're going to slap you on the hand, and you're not going to be able to get what you want in life. It doesn't matter how
Hmm.
big you are or what you've done. We're going to still make
Both
you
of them.
something. Yeah.
I will say this: both of them, if or when they prevail, let's just say Trump doesn't get found guilty of anything,
Yeah.
he will 100% win the presidency
Why do you believe that?
because people overall, no matter what your belief is or what your social media programming, we'll call it now, people do like to see people who were knocked down climb out of it, and I guess we'll call it buck the
Yeah,
system,
but
right? Like,
people
man,
that are
look at.
getting, let me say this, people that are knocked down not by their own doing. They're knocked down because just an unforeseen force came and knocked them down. That's the difference. If you made your own bed, and like for instance, Tate, he's cocky. He's got
But
a
that's not
certain.
against. But that's not against the law.
It's not. But what I'm saying is, when you're not humble, or at least somewhat understanding, and you're just that type of personality, you're gonna have your fan base. But to get the masses, you have to be able to connect. He's not going to connect to everybody that way. So what I'm saying is, when you say that they're coming out of it, it depends on how they put themselves into it. If you got people that are putting themselves into it because they're cocky or they're pompous, they're arrogant, and it's basically F the world, you know what I mean? And you want to follow me, great. But I'm not going to follow that guy. The average guy person's not going to follow that guy. Same with Trump. The average person's not going to follow that person. You have to lead by example. And those people may have people that want to follow them because they think that's the way. But you're not, I don't feel you're going to connect the way that they're doing it as far as the masses. So when you say Trump is going to be running for president and he'll win because he's an underdog or he's been put down, that might be true because it was something that I think a lot of people are like, yeah, you know what? He didn't put himself there. It seems like they're after him for some reason. Where Tate, I
Yeah,
think,
and
is a
he
different.
won.
Tate's a different story.
Hmm.
I think Tate put himself there for different reasons, whatever. But nobody was really after him or trying to put him down, or until he probably crossed the line. Does that make sense?
But see, what's crossing the line? He didn't break the law.
I would say crossing the line is the average mindset of what people think, and then when you start to, um, it's not breaking the law, but you put yourself in a position where your word is law, right? What you say, you
Okay.
should follow, and people don't
Okay.
want to be told what to do. Well, I don't think
Yeah.
Trump has said anything about like you follow me and you follow me by the letter to do these things. He's basically like, I'm for the country. That's kind of what his message is. I'm for you guys.
Okay.
Where Tate
Hmm.
is, I'm for me. You need to follow my law or my way. And now I'm telling you versus being on your side. Does that make sense?
I see. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, there are different reasons of why they are facing their troubles currently, but the story, right? Like Muhammad Ali, right? We'll use Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is gonna go down. Well, he has already been revered as the greatest boxer, and he's lost,
Yeah.
you know, and he will. People will not ever put Floyd into a Muhammad Ali, right? Even though Floyd has done way more in boxing than Muhammad Ali ever did, but Muhammad Ali's belief in his message, right? Being stripped of his boxing title because he didn't want to go fight, right? That was the law back then. He got drafted to go, and he didn't go,
Yeah.
right? And he didn't go because he didn't believe that they should be over there killing innocent. He's like, I'm not gonna do anything to those people, right? He got a lot of pushback for that, right? Being un-American, unappreciative. Hey, you're a boxing champ in this
Yeah, but
country.
do
How
you feel in
dare?
a situation like that though that it's your choice to do that? Meaning if everybody else is being drafted, like I understand, I would probably feel the same way. But if everybody else is being drafted, what makes you think that you're different? And I understand it was the times, but I'm just saying you got to
But
think of it
it's
like
not.
that.
But it's not a matter about what he thinks. What everyone thinks. He's gonna hold his belief high first.
Hmm.
No, I'm not going over there and killing a bunch of Vietnamese people or
Yeah.
or Asians, right? I ain't doing it. Well, we're gonna take your boxing belts. Do it. Take them. And that is why he is going down as he will be forever remembered
Yeah.
because of that,
Not
right?
because of his
He put
boxing. You're saying he's going to be remembered more because of what he's done on.
that's
I mean,
what
boxing
that
obviously he's remembered for that, but
yeah
one of the
that
stances, the big stances he took was that because he disagreed with what people wanted to put on him that hey, you're a part of this crew. Okay. Well, again, it goes back to you're doing it for me. You're answering my questions for me. You're telling me what to do. Nobody in this
mhm.
society, and this is the truth in this world, who do you know that wants to be told what to do? Like, do you like to be told what to do?
No, not told what to do in a sense, but I do believe direction and order is needed,
No, I
right?
mean,
And
look, I get
so
that, but again, it comes back to you're not going to gravitate to somebody that doesn't lead by example. And if they're telling you and not showing you, not leading you, there's a big difference there. And I think that's where what I'm trying to portray here.
okay, yeah, and I think that because this is what happens when people say one thing and then they're tested and then they fold. These guys that we're talking about, they've been tested and they didn't fold, right? With like with Andrew Tate, we'll just go back to him. Hey man, you need to probably lighten up your message. You need to do this because if you don't, other people are not going to like that too much. Man, fuck that. This is not what I believe. I'm not holding my tongue. I'm not doing none of that shit, right? Colin Kaepernick. Hey man, you probably shouldn't do that. They're going to kick you out of the NFL. You got this big contract. Man, fuck that, right? No, I ain't doing it. I don't care about football. I don't care about money. I don't care about any of that, right? I'm pro. This is a message. It needs to be highlighted. It's going ignored. And no, I'm highlighting this, right? I'm gonna make it a thing. And if I never play football again, oh well, so be it. And he's fared, and he's done well in his life, right?
Yeah, but think about it like this. Would you do that if you were in your first contract? So if you thought about that in the beginning, again, everybody's got a personal agenda. The guy signed
Uh,
a 6-year, multi-million-dollar contract, probably played out 3 or 4 of those years easily. He's set up for
mhm.
life. It's a little different, I think, when you're going into it. Not you got a message because you know why nobody's going to listen to you. One, secondly, he had a platform. But going back to the
Yeah,
Trump thing, it's the same thing. The reason why people rally behind Trump is because the way Trump looks at it, and you may agree or disagree, or you think he's an asshole. Great, no problem. I don't care. It's because he's not doing it because he already has money. He's not doing it per se for himself. He probably is to a certain degree. He's just not portraying that. What he's doing is he's saying, look, I'm here for everybody. Why? I don't need the money. That's his message. I don't need the money. Make America great again. Where when
hmm
you have somebody like an Andrew Tate or somebody in that position where they're telling you or forcing you to do it, this
no,
goes
he's
back
not
to
for.
being a
No, he's
leader versus a follower, right? A leader is going to stand up for what they believe in. I would agree that, you look at the figures you said, which is Colin Kaepernick. It takes a lot of courage and balls to go out there and do that. I get it, but at the end of the day, I think what people follow is whatever tradition they grew up in. Whoever's going to give them the best leading position or be empathetic or emotionally connected to them versus somebody that's telling them this is what you need to do. Because the reason why Colin Kaepernick had such a story is he didn't come out and tell anybody. He just set an example. He said, I'm going to do this. You can follow me or not. I'm not going to tell you to follow me, but he's going to do that. Right. And then it's your choice. Again, it comes down to whoever that is. That's your choice to follow that person, whatever the
yeah,
message is. Right. The thing with Andrew Tate, what I think is that the reason why people dislike him is because he comes off as this is the only way it has to be. And this is how I believe. He doesn't come out with an approach like you have a say so as far as it's like this is it. I'm telling you this is the only way it should be. And the world is different today. And I think he comes off and he's abrasive that way. And I think that's why people disconnect from him. That's my opinion.
yeah. I see. I can see that, but he's not there to connect. He's there to just say his message, and
Right.
whether you believe it or not, that's on you. Like,
You're right.
because then this is what'll happen if he does it the way that you're saying. Then he loses other people, right? So damned if you do,
Yeah,
damned if
he's
you don't.
he's he's down the
Yeah,
road now. He's down the road. He has no
Yeah.
coming back. So what I'm saying is he's made his bed. Now he's going to lie in it. You can't just
Yeah.
go that cocky with that message and you tell, and this is the way it's got to be, and it's strong arming to now going, hey guys, uh, I think that was the wrong way. We need to kind of settle back a little bit, let the woman or
Yeah.
people, then everybody's like, dude, your credibility is just gone. And you can't do that with
Yeah.
anything because once you go that far and you don't take a stance that you can see it both sides and you have a strong belief in something, you can't go back because now your credibility is gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way I feel.
Yeah.
And I understand. So now that's his personality. So now what it is, and it's fine. You're going to piss some people off and you're going to have some people that gravitate to him, but he's not going to get everybody. The reason why a Trump in situations like this, where people, again, I don't think Trump's done right by everything. Let's be honest. And there's a lot of people out there, a lot of races and other things that they say like this, but I don't think he's gone to the extent where he has a line in the sand where he's like, this is the way it is. And I think that's what it is with people in life. The same thing with like going back to Bill Clinton. You go back to the other presidents, they left office, right? You never
Yeah.
really heard from them again too much as far as being in the political news. Once that news came out, they just kind of went their way. They didn't try to deliver a
Yeah.
message and do anything. And I think the reason why that society and people are trying to keep Trump down is because even though all these things happened before, some of the things that and some of the arrogance he's done during presidency, he's continued to put himself out there and continue to try to run, and he's going to try to run again. And I think someone out there or some things or people or parties out there are trying to prevent that. And I would have to agree with you on that.
Okay. Yeah. 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 It's a just overall, man. It's a crazy time, and people who are also silent about a belief, right? That's horrible, right? You believe something, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't do that. So I don't know how people walk through life doing that. That's them. I can't judge or weigh their integrity or character. But I will say this is that there is a thing now, hopefully, truth, like I said, truth always will prevail.
Yep.
Hopefully, like I said, Trump, whatever's not true, he's able to fight and win that with Tate. Hopefully, whatever's not true,
Yeah.
he's
We're
able
not going to
to.
put any negative publicity out for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, hopefully he wins that. And then moving forward, man, maybe now, because like I said, back to my point about 20 minutes ago about social media, how it can be horrible. But social media can be a good thing because what this will hopefully do is that now, because back previous, if you had a lot of power, the truth wouldn't get out, right? Truth wouldn't get out because they don't want the truth to get out because everyone has an agenda, right? Whether it's power, money, or certain decisions that need to be made. And hopefully we do see a turn, man. Hopefully we start to see like, man, you know what? You need to have like facts. You just can't say or assume people did things and didn't do things because look at Epstein, right? That dude was a monster. But because they wouldn't let truth come out, he was able to get away with all that shit he did for decades. You see what I'm saying? So you got these other people who are being indicted, like, and it doesn't take very long for minimal bullshit, right? Like, even if, let's just say, even if what Trump did is true, like hush money thing, like, man, what about Epstein, right? It took that long, right? He had numerous complaints, numerous this, and I know that's another topic, but it's just to kind of hammer my point, is that there was people in positions that didn't want that to get out, so they didn't let it get out, right? And so if you can fuel power to keep a horrible act uh, contained, then we should be able to use that to have truth and light come out as well. And I'll
Yeah.
end it
Well,
there.
but I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to power and money, right? If somebody's paying you money to keep that hush, or some entity you're paying, then it's going to stay hush. And once you stop paying the piper on anything, your leverage
Mm-hmm.
is gone. And I think that's
Well, that.
That's what it is, and it has nothing to do with just him. It's just in general. That's in anything in life.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
get
in
signed
general,
up for
but
something and you want power, and you give a combination of, "Hey, I'm going to give you this," or you did something wrong. Okay, we'll keep it on the hush. But guess what? You're going to be to make that happen, whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be Epstein. It's anything. The problem is
anything.
that he leveraged his leverage was gone. I feel, and then he just disappeared, right? Too much
Yeah,
evidence, whatever. But I think it comes down to, um, there's many different areas, many different angles you can look at this, right, with this situation. But I think we hit on a lot of good topics today for our first show. And Chris, I want to say this, man. Mental verse, right? This is our first show. You're also a real estate
yes,
agent out
sir.
there. And Chris, you've been
Yes.
in real estate for a while. Talk to me about being a realtor.
The best part about real estate is the people, right? That is a monumental thing in people's lives. No matter how many houses you buy, it's exciting. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
You're building, you're adding wealth to your family, and it's just real estate is a wonderful vehicle. And the fact that I'm able to connect with people and be a part of that process for them is an amazing feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's really,
I think it's
yeah.
a great feeling. We're both real estate agents out there. And I think to kind of end the show here, because we've been at this now for almost an hour, is we're not all bad people as realtors. We are educated. We are not going to make decisions based on money position, right? Not going to say, well, commission based money positions. We do care, or at least I care. I know you care. And the stigma out there is that realtors are hustlers. Some of them are shady. I'm going to say a lot of them are. I'm going to say a lot of realtors out there, they're not. How you do your due diligence in finding the right realtor, because we both work for Blueprint Real Estate Services, is you vet them, you ask the right questions. Ultimately, your gut will tell you if this person is really empathetic and about you. And I think
Hmm.
also, do they know, are they an expert of their craft? And I think that's where you have to really dive into as a person doing your research. If you're looking for a realtor, we both work with real estate relocation people outside the state, outside the city. We're licensed in Nevada. I have connections, and so do you, in other states where you can refer back and forth. But we are a relocation real estate agent. So, we'll have all of our contact information in there. So if you guys decide you want to move forward as far as a real estate agent goes, um, I think it's good to be educating people that all realtors are not bad, right, Chris?
No, 100%. No, there are some bad ones. Oh, there's some scumbags, right? That's
Right.
in any industry, right? There's scummy car salesmen, scummy doctors, lawyers, scummy waiters, bartenders. You can't escape that, right? All we have to do is align with the ones that aren't. And through that process, you find someone that can serve you the best. But
Yep.
yes, 100%, there's some bad realtors out there, lazy, self-serving, hard to get a hold of. I don't even know. I don't understand why they got into real estate, but yeah, that is there. Unfortunately, there are a lot of bad realtors.
I would agree, man. I would agree. So that's the end of the show. You got any last words?
No, brother, you enjoy the weekend. I
Yeah.
know you got to spend time with your family,
Yeah.
your son. That's going to be a good thing. And yeah, we'll connect later, brother.
Yeah, so mental versus, I just want to let this know we're gonna disconnect here in a second, but we're gonna be on. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna be streaming some of the shows that's availability based on availability, and then we're gonna do some that's gonna be recorded. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, we'd love to have you comment on this show. Give us some intake on what we talked about today, and show us some love. Subscribe to the channel. Chris and I will have our contact information below. So if you guys want any real estate services or you're looking to find a realtor, we'd love to help you out. At then, we're out of here. See ya.
All right. Yep. Holla.